With the final reckoning coming out in only a few days, I thought it was perfect timing to go back and give my ranking of all the Mission Impossible films.
Impossible
It
question.
is impossible.
That is an impossible question.
Now, this is one of the most challenging tasks to do. I put it off to the last second because my ranking keeps changing. All of these films are like children. It's impossible to pick your favorites, but I'm going to do my best to make a ranking here today. Now, I'm only going to be ranking the first 7 films in the first part of this video, and then at the end, I'm going to edit in my ranking of the final reckoning once I see it on Thursday, which is only 2 days away, and I am very excited for that. So let's get right into it. I'm going to go in chronological order here. So we will start with Mission Impossible, 1996. That was 1 year before I was born. This movie rocks. I adore this movie. I think this movie has a sauce to it that does not exist in any of the other ones. And I think that's very much because of De Palma's direction. I think it has a style, it has a sauce, it has a vibe to it that is just fantastic. I just love it so much. It really stands alone. I know we talk about Mission Impossible 2 standing alone or anything like that, but this one really stands alone too. It's very unique, has such a moody, atmospheric, and stylish and slick vibe to it. I just really, really like it. It might not, it's tough to compare it to Fallout, right? Or Rogue Nation, because it's just a totally different movie. But in terms of my personal enjoyment, this one's up there, man. I love this one. I just think it's a good movie all around. Fantastic sequences that they don't rely on him hanging off of a plane. I know he hangs off a helicopter, but you know what I mean. It's like, it's tension. It's atmospheric. It's just a different type of spy movie that gives you the same thrills you would get in these films, but in a different way. I love it. I think this movie is really, really good. Now to Mission Impossible 2. Now, I've got a soft spot in my heart. I think a lot of Mission Impossible fans do for Mission Impossible 2. It is what it is. Like, this is the most it is what it is movie ever, in that if you grade it compared to Mission Impossible 1 or Fallout or any of the movies that came before or after, it's going to be tough to enjoy it in the same way. This is a different type of thing, where this is a filet mignon. This is, a McDonald's hamburger. Both can be great. It's just, you gotta, know what you're expecting. Mission Impossible 2, there's plenty to enjoy here. If you can fully embrace what you're watching and just detach it from what came before and what comes after, you'll have a good time. It's very much the black sheep of the series, but it's by no means worth throwing out. Ethan Hunt is just a completely different character in this movie. They make no attempt to have him be the same character in the first film or the ones that come later. But I think that's okay. It works. I mean, the slow-mo, the action, it really is badass, and it's full John Woo, and it's fun. You will have a good time. There's really great stuff in here, and it's a very entertaining watch. Like, it's one that every time I watch it, I'm like, I may not watch this one on my next, watch through, but every time I do, every time I watch it, and I have a good time with it. So it is what it is, but it's going to be in D tier here. And again, all this is personal preference. I watch all of these on a yearly basis. So again, I love Mission Impossible 2, but just in terms of all the others, this one is definitely at the bottom here. And now we get to Mission Impossible 3. I saw this on Twitter, and now I can't unsee it. And so I'm going to say it for you so that you can't unsee it. Mission Impossible 3 is basically like a TV movie. Once you get that in your head, you then can't unsee it. The way it looks, the camera work, the lens flares, like, it really looks like a TV show. And it's crazy that it does. I mean, it looks phenomenal. Don't get me wrong. It looks really, really good. But there are some sequences in this that just look a bit odd. I don't know. I don't know how to explain that. But that aside, I think Mission Impossible 3 is really, really good. I think it recaptures the precision and the punch of the first film, but it does lack some of the stylistic De Palma sauce, or zhuzh, if you will. That TV movie quality that J.J. Abrams brings is a detractor, I think, but it's not. It's not really harming the film that much. The Vatican heist is an all-timer. That one is slept on so much. It is so slick. It's like an Ocean's 11 level heist. It is really, really good. And I tell you, every time he bites through those tongue depressors, I stand to my feet and start to clap. That is the coolest thing ever. And that gets to another broader point here. I think that's probably my favorite thing about this franchise. Not the tongue depressor thing specifically, although if pushed, that is my favorite thing in any movie ever. It's awesome. But what I love about these films is that they never miss a moment to add something small and seemingly insignificant. See, it's the small touches. It's the tongue depressors that they add into regular scenes and moments that truly elevate the mundane into something amazing. Like for that scene specifically, like he was dying, he was, it was going to restart his heart and all this stuff. Like there was already plenty going on that was making the scene captivating. But that little addition just made it that much cooler and just elevate it. It feels like an active process and a dialogue watching these films, between the audience and the filmmaker. The love of cinema and the creativity it provides really just never feels overlooked in these films. They understand the freedom they have, and if you look closely, you'll always see something new and something that really takes advantage of cinema. And that's, what I really love about these films. It's not just the, hanging off a helicopter and doing a bike jump and all that stuff. Like all of that equally captures, one of the coolest aspects of cinema, but it's the tongue depressor stuff that also captures that, where you didn't have to do that, but it was cool as hell and he did it. And I love that. It's little stuff like that I miss in films. And that I think, speaking not as a filmmaker here, but I would imagine as a filmmaker, you probably forget that you can do that. You forget that you can add a tongue depressor snapping scene. You forget that you can do that because there's just already so much going on. You probably just get lost in the sauce. You just get busy. You just forget that you can add little things that just elevate little moments. So anyway, I'm going to stop talking about the tongue depressor scene because I could just go off, for hours on that. I'm going to put this right there in B. I think Mission Impossible 3 was a great trajectory change for the series. But now we get to the greatest trajectory change for the series, and that is Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. I threw this on in the background and proceeded to pull the dad stance for about an hour in front of my TV. I was doing laundry. I was doing other stuff. Like I was not planning on standing there and watching this film, but I threw it on and I could not look away. Literally unbroken for an hour. I stood there in front of the TV. This film is all gas and no brakes. It has incredible pacing, awesome cast, and just, I think this has the best stunt in all of the films. I'm not saying it's the most extreme or the most, amazing, but like that building climbing scene is so tense. It's so well paced. It's so well shot. It's funny. It's entertaining. It's just phenomenal. It's just phenomenal. And okay, speaking of tongue depressor style cinema moments, one of my favorite things is the way they give Cruise the movie star intro in this film. Just like John Wayne in Stagecoach, that could only be done by a cinephile and someone who loves movies. And I love that they did that in this movie because that's awesome. It's like you're waiting to see him. He's the movie star. He's the lead of the film, and introducing him in that way of just his face glowing. Literally, when I watched it, I'm like, oh my God, they just did John Wayne in Stagecoach, like that movie star entrance that you don't get nowadays. They just did that in the fourth Mission Impossible film, and I love it. And they kind of do that in all the rest of the films too. I know in Dead Reckoning, they have him walking out of the shadows, which is awesome. But this one in particular, I really, really like it. Watching a Cruise film is truly like watching a masterwork. And I know everyone says that now, and it's a bit of a meme, to call him Mr. Movie, but it really is true. Like, I mean, he's John Ford, Howard Hawks, Buster Keaton, all mashed together with the mass appeal of Spielberg. Like a movie star director combo that has never been and may never come again. It really is incredible to watch. And, as the hype just grows for all these movies, and, I know the fans, like myself included, really love these movies, but I really think they are something special. I mean, they really are fantastic. And I can't wait to see what Cruise does next, whether it's continuing with, the action direction or moving back in a more Vanilla Sky, Eyes Wide Shut direction, A Few Good Men. He's truly one of a kind, and I'm so excited to see whatever he does next. let's see. Did I have any other notes about this one? Well, I guess the only other note I wrote is just I love how these films refuse to make anything mundane. Outside of the stunts and the big character moments, again, it's the small bits that are amazing. For example, when Cruise and Renner are supposed to be rendezvousing at like a train car, right? They're supposed to go to this secret location on a train car. That scene could have been simple. There was just a massive like shootout and car chase and crash and all this stuff. All the action just happened. They were just supposed to go to a train car. They could have just easily skipped all of that and jumped on the train car. But instead, it's not just getting into a train car. It's getting into a train car using a retinal scanner while the train is moving. That is what I'm talking about. That's what I'm saying with these films that makes them awesome, because it's like they take a moment and then ask the most important question. How do we make this interesting? How do we make this unique? How do we make this not just what it is on the page? And that's what I love. They never miss a moment to do that. There's never just a conversation. It's a conversation with an added layer of interesting on top of it. And it's the simple things like that that elevate these films. But as for Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, for me, this one is at the top of S tier. This is as good as it gets for me. Personally, it's my favorite film. You know, I could watch it endlessly, rewatch it over and over and over again. Love this movie. All right, now moving on to Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. First thing to say immediately, I think we're all in agreement on Rebecca Ferguson may be the most beautiful woman ever. She is just strikingly beautiful, and she has insanely good chemistry with Cruise, and she's phenomenal in this movie just in general, but the way her and Cruise play off each other in this film, in the next film, is just really, really good. I can't tell you why this film always stays around the middle of the pack for me. As I rewatch it this time, like it's always, I'll just go ahead and move it. It's always kind of just in the like A to B range. You know what I mean? Like it never kind of leaves this range and goes into S tier, but I'm not sure why. I truly am not sure why, because everything in this film works. Everything in this film is great. There's not a thing I look at it and I'm like, that didn't work. Or like, I didn't like that. I have no negative to say about this film. So I could really see this one as time goes on, just bumping up the list and becoming one of my favorites. But for some reason right now, it's just not there. It's still just a middle of the pack. I say middle, it's upper middle of the pack, Mission Impossible film. But man, you break it down, there's not a bad thing about this. The action is incredible. The stunts are incredible. The characters are incredible. Again, a bad Mission Impossible film is an incredible regular film, right? So, also the underwater scene in this is viscerally upsetting in the absolute best way possible. I mean, it will make you sweat just sitting on your couch. It is horrifying, which has me a little bit worried for the new one coming out, because apparently there's a big underwater scene. So I'm very curious to see how that is. But yeah, for right now, I'm going to have this in bottom of A. Moving on to Mission Impossible Fallout. One thing I realized when watching this recently, I'm like, I think this is the most 80s action film of the series, if that makes sense. I just, all the components of an 80s action film are there, right? You've got a villain who's just this buff dude who ends up getting horribly scarred at the end in a very comical way. That's an 80s action movie trope. Outlandish third act, but it works super, super well. It doesn't take itself too seriously, but it's also not afraid to get serious. So much of this film feels like something from another era while also feeling fresh and modern. Honestly, I'm probably going to say the least about this movie just because everything's already been said. It's from top to bottom, it's a masterclass. It's really perfect. It's really, really well done, well executed. Again, it focuses on both the small moments, but also on the characters. I mean, my favorite scene probably in the movie, and one of my favorites in the series, is when that cop is getting shot, right? It's like that cop gets shot and then he makes that choice in the moment to save, the one life over the millions. Like that. And I know it's hammered home in the movies with dialogue too, but I love how they show and don't tell in that scene of like, that's his character through and through. That is who Ethan Hunt's character is that he refuses to make that choice and trade lives. I just love that. I think it's super interesting because it's like, that goes against what his job should require. But that's why we love him. And that's what makes it interesting. So Fallout is stupendous. Really, really great. Gosh, I'm already going back on all of this stuff. I feel like these maybe should be higher. But I don't know, man. The reason I have Mission Impossible 1 there is, again, I love what it is. I really enjoy what it is. I enjoy the uniqueness of it personally. But I'll be honest, like all of these here could switch on any given day. All of these could switch. The bottom three that I'm about to get to, I think are firmly planted in this order here. But these four here could really switch at any time. But let's get to the last one here. So Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. This film is aimless, sloppy, and a bit exhausting. Now, before you completely click off the video here, this is by no means a bad film. Again, a bad film in the Mission Impossible franchise can pretty much floor any other comparable action flick. But this film is it just feels so lackluster and sloppy compared to the others. And I'm not just talking Fallout either. I mean, it's an impossible task to follow Fallout, right? So I'm not even judging it against these two. It's like, if it was significantly worse than these two, like, that's fine. Like, that's a tough act to follow. But I mean all of them. I mean, compared to all of them, it's just missing something. And it feels just like a race to the end. I don't know. I love the AI direction. It feels more relevant, honestly, years after the film's release. Watching it now, it's much more relevant and terrifying, just given the technological developments that have happened since this movie came out. But unfortunately, the way it's handled just kind of feels hokey and totally unexplored. Granted, that's not uncommon in these films, to just have a bomb or some random object be the goal. It's by no means like ruining anything, but for something so relevant and philosophically challenging to both just our existence as human beings, but also to the character of Ethan Hunt, it's frustrating that they kind of do nothing with it. Now, because it's, well, technically part one, not anymore, but was part one, and the Final Reckoning is really going to finish this story. Hopefully that's something they will fix in the Final Reckoning, but it remains to be seen. I will answer that in a few moments. The action is also kind of a low point for me here. It feels more pointless than ever and a bit Looney Tunes at the end with the train jump. Again, it's not bad, right? It's great. I know a lot of it was shot in COVID, so some of the green screen stuff is due to that. But it just doesn't hit the same as other entries. It just really feels forced and just less earned. It's like with the bike jump, it's like, you didn't need to do that. Like, it was so contrived. Again, I'm nitpicky here, but we're dealing with perfection pretty much across the board with all these films. So I feel the ability to be nitpicky, but I don't know. It just does not feel earned. But again, I'm grading this one with a bit of an asterisk because part two may complete and improve the story in retrospect, but we'll see. That remains to be seen. But so let's see. Today is Tuesday that I'm recording this. I'm going to see the film on Thursday. I'm going to get an early fan screening, and I'm hopefully going to get a poster. I'll post a picture of that if I end up getting one. But I'm going to pause this here, and then I'm going to add in my reaction and ranking of Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning once I have seen it. So see you shortly.
Okay, this is going to be tough. This is going to be a challenge to kind of collect my thoughts on this because my mind is racing. So, okay, it's Thursday night. Got out of seeing the movie a couple hours ago. I'm in my car, by the way, in case the audio is different. Apologies for that. Okay, where to begin? Go see this in IMAX. If you have the opportunity to. That's the first highlight I can say. Visually, there's some really great stuff in here, and the IMAX format is really taken advantage of to its fullest capabilities. So if you've got an IMAX near you, or in the city near you, or in the state near you, definitely go see it in IMAX. It is 100% worth it. If you're a Mission Impossible fan, it is absolutely worth it. Here is what I will say. Oh, and let me preface this. I'm not going to give any spoilers. I may at the end, but I will give a big warning before I do. So no worries here. There's not going to be any spoilers or anything like that. If you liked Dead Reckoning Part 1, you will like this movie, probably. If you didn't love Dead Reckoning Part 1, you will feel the same way about this. I think they really are Part 1, Part 2. I think the biggest mistake was changing the name to The Final Reckoning. Now, as I say that, I much prefer that. I don't like Part 1, Part 2. Like, I think, I'm not saying it because I'm a fan of that. I'm just saying this only works as a Part 2. Like, this is not its own movie at all. And that's fine. That's not a knock on it. It's just the fact this is not its own movie. It is Part 2. Secondly, this is not a finale. Not in the way that we're being told. And again, not giving any spoilers here. I'm just counteracting what everyone is saying. So the marketing team, the actual movie, I mean, they switched the name to The Final Reckoning. Tom Cruise is saying, trust me one last time. It's like the big push is that this is it. This is the final one. And I'm not saying we get any indication to counteract that. I'm just saying this in no way feels like a finale at all. And it really caught me off guard. I mean, when the credits were rolling, like I looked over at my mom. I was like, what? I mean, it's like it was so not a finale that I feel like it's a public service announcement to tell people this is not the finale you're expecting it to be. That doesn't mean it's bad. It's just not what you're being told it is. And I wish I had known that going in, because I wouldn't have been expecting something. Now when I go and see it again, which I'm actually going to see it again tomorrow night, I won't be expecting that. And so I won't be let down because, it doesn't have to have some big, massive, Dial of Destiny, send off for the characters or whatever. I don't know. Like, it doesn't have to be that. But they told us it was that. And so when it isn't that, it just feels a little bit weird. So that's a bit of a gripe I have, but not so with the movie, just more so the messaging around the movie. I think it's a little bit confusing. Now let's see here. What else to say? It's not a movie that has 3 acts, but more so 2 acts. And what I mean by that is the first hour and 20 minutes, I don't remember any action scenes really. It was just all exposition. It was just all people talking about what they did, talking about what they are actively doing, what they're about to do. I mean, it was to a degree that I've rarely seen in movies. And I get it. This is a global movie playing for a global audience that may not have seen Part 1. And this movie requires you to have seen Part 1 for any of this to make any sense. And so not only that, but a lot of the other Mission movies for it to make any sense. And so I don't blame them for being heavy on exposition, but it's too heavy. It is so overstuffed and so exposition heavy that it's exhausting, yet somehow still confusing. When the credits are rolling, I mean, my mom and I were just debating, talking, trying to figure out what happened. Like, we were perplexed by the ending. Like, we were looking at each other. We were like, so is this what that means? Like, did this happen? Like, what? Like, what does this mean? Like we were just utterly confused. And I felt that a lot throughout the movie. There was a lot of points that were just, despite spelling everything out, it still didn't make sense a lot of times. And to piggyback off that, I think one of the biggest negatives of this is it's just overstuffed. It's nearly 3 hours, and I won't say that I felt it because I was locked in the whole time. I mean, I was excited to be there. The whole theater was excited to be there, so it's like I was locked in. It was not like I felt the length to a crippling degree. It just didn't need to be that long, or just give us some room to breathe. I mean, it felt like all gas, no brakes, but not in the way you want. Like, I would describe Fallout as that, Rogue Nation especially as that. All gas, no brakes, just like nitrous, like rocket fuel, and it's awesome. That works as a strength for those movies. I would describe this movie in that exact same way, but as a negative. Like, this just never stops. It never breathes. It never lets me feel anything. There are big things that happen, and we don't get a chance to feel them at all. And I didn't love that. I did not love that. It felt like a trailer. It almost felt like I was watching a trailer. Everything was just happening so fast. Everybody was moving here and moving here, moving here. Like, okay, I'm going to make a comparison, and this is not that bad. This is not the equivalent, but it's comparable in the way that it handles some things. This is the Rise of Skywalker of the Mission Impossible franchise, where it just feels a little chaotic, a little all over the place, just trying to string things together to create this final mission that ends up kind of not playing out that way. And like, I don't know, once you see it, let me know if I'm crazy or if I'm right for saying that, because I'm not saying it's on the level of that slop, but I'm just saying that the choppiness, the erraticness, the way it feels like a trailer, is just very, I wasn't a fan of it. I was not really a fan of it at all. Let's see. What are some good things? So I already mentioned the IMAX being beautiful. There's some great stunts in here. You know, arguably some of the best of the series. Like, there's some really, really good stuff in here. And they make sense. One of the big critiques I had in the last one is like, you know, the bike jump. I'm like, that you did not need to do that. That made no sense for the story. It was just so clearly there for the stunt. In this, all of them make sense. All of them make sense. They're integral to the plot. It's not just him being crazy to be crazy. It makes total sense. They fit in perfectly, especially the last one. All great. The cast was all great. I really liked everybody. I'm still unbelievably salty that Rebecca Ferguson is not in these movies anymore. It just doesn't feel right, man. I'm no knock against Haley Atwell. I think she's great, but it should be Rebecca Ferguson. It should be Rebecca Ferguson. That's who Tom Cruise has the best chemistry with. Their characters had the best interaction. Like, they had the best story together. It was just, now it didn't really matter either way, evidently, but that makes me sad. I'm a little salty about that, but hey, it is what it is. I don't know the background workings of all of that. Maybe they had to do that, but all the cast is great. One positive I will really say is that out of all the movies, I felt the stakes in this one very strongly. Like, it felt like it truly was the end of the world. They were in a lose-lose situation, and the stakes felt high, and the consequences felt real. Like, I mean, my heart was pounding out of my chest as the movie was coming to an end. Like, as the final moments were happening, my heart was literally palpitating in my chest. I could feel it. And so, I mean, that's incredible. I mean, that's an amazing thing to have happen, to have me just like flipping out in my seats, as this stuff is happening, because I'm like, genuinely, I'm like, again, thinking it's the final one, and the way that they set this up, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, anyone could die at any moment. The world could truly end, and I didn't know how I was going to go about it. So that's a big, big, big plus. Another big plus is I do like that they explored AI a little bit more, not in the way that I would have liked them to. They didn't really tangle with the philosophical challenges of this that much, but they did deal with it more than the first one did. And I liked the way the AI was represented a little bit more in this. Gabriel is absolutely useless. Just absolutely, like, he was bad in the last movie. He's pointless in this movie. Like, I don't even know why he was here. Like, he was just pointless. He didn't really serve the story much at all. Just not great. Just a D, F tier villain for the Mission Impossible franchise. Gosh, Tom Cruise looks incredible. The dude has never looked better, man. And like, he looks fantastic. He's energetic. Like, he's fit. Like, the dude looks, fantastic. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Honestly, I'm just trying to stall because I don't know. I don't know where to rank this movie. This is so tough. I really need to see it again before I get a solid ranking here. But the thing I'm trying to debate is, this is pulling Dead Reckoning down too. Because like I said previously, like, I was hoping this one would elevate Dead Reckoning, but it actually had the opposite effect in that it's pulling it down lower. Don't dislike the video because of this, but I'm about to say something that I think a lot of you are not gonna like or be okay with. But I will carry that burden, because I think both Dead Reckoning and The Final Reckoning are worse than Mission Impossible 2. I think Mission Impossible 2 is a better film than both of these films. The way I would now rank it is I would still have Mission Impossible 2 in D, but I think I'm going to move Dead Reckoning right below 2, and then I'm going to put The Final Reckoning below that. Now, this absolutely may change. This is a gut reaction right out of the theater. For me, I'm the kind of guy, I need to sit with stuff. I need to sit with stuff. I don't even like giving my opinion when I'm walking out of the theater. It's like I need to sit with stuff, let it marinate, let it sit. My opinions change wildly over time, and I think this one especially will change on a rewatch. So what I'll probably do, I'll probably post a specific video for Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning in the coming weeks or something, and I'll update my ranking when I do that. But as for right now, I think this is the most disappointing out of the series. Left me wanting more when I left. I didn't hate it, but it felt incomplete. It felt rushed. It felt unpolished. It just felt sloppy, and it didn't feel like a Mission Impossible movie. I mean, it did, but the tightness, the efficiency is always there with a Mission Impossible film, and that started to slip in The Dead Reckoning, and it definitely slipped in this movie quite a bit. And so the reason Mission Impossible 2 is above both of those is that it's an efficient movie. Like it's effective. It's got a vision. Like it's a cohesive story. Like it's a complete movie, right? And I guess that's kind of what I'm taking here, where it's like I'm picking Attack of the Clones over The Rise of Skywalker, right? If that makes sense. And I might change my opinion on that tomorrow, but it's like I would take a complete movie over a trailer. But I don't know, we'll see. As I'm even saying this out loud, I'm already starting to regret it. But you know, YouTube's only forever, so I'll only have this opinion out there for eternity. So that's it. Those are my thoughts. I'm not going to get any spoiler stuff here. I'm just going to save that for another video. I don't want anybody accidentally getting spoiled in any of this stuff, so I just want to save that for another time. Let me know in the comments if you've seen it. Let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know what your ranking is. Like, I'd love to see everybody's ranking down in the comments below. Really, really curious to see how this movie fits in with people's ranking, because I'm seeing people, I will say this, I haven't seen anyone have it in their first spot or their second spot. I've had some people have it in their third and fourth spot. I've not seen anyone have it above those, which I think is telling. But I'm curious for you guys to let me know in the comments what your ranking is. But yeah, if you take anything away from this video, go see it. Like, absolutely go see it. If you're a fan of the franchise, you will get plenty to enjoy. The stunts are worth it alone. If you're not a fan, it's still a good movie-going experience. Again, bad Mission Impossible film, still a great regular film. You will have fun. Like, you will have fun in it. Get yourself one of those fancy little popcorn buckets and have yourself a good time. So don't let the negativity deter you from going to see it. Just maybe dial back your expectations a little bit and just kind of recognize this may not be the finale that we've kind of been told that it is. But anyway, I'm going to end the video here. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I had a lot of fun making this one. Yeah, I look forward to reading all of your rankings in the comments below.